Do you know that there's a Buddhist temple right up the street?
Really? Where at?
Literally right up the street. You could walk to it in less than 5 minutes.
Is it like across the highway? Isn't that Arabian? I don't know. Is it Arabian?
Nah.
Isn't it like the people who bombed? Isn't it like the Arabian or worshiping the devil or something? Isn't it the big guy that they have, like the big fat guy you're supposed to rub their belly or something? Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about. I've heard of that. I've heard of it.
Where have you heard of it from?
Just walking around the mall, there would be a thing like in the, I think it was like a nail place or something, and they rubbed their head or something and said it's good luck. That's what they said. I believe them.
What do
You know, you're never going to see people on the street corner going, you know, have you heard the word of Buddha today? You know, that's not going to happen there, but it is just something that, you know, people find. I mean,
Buddhism is the exploration of how the universe works and what it means to be a human being. And there's a person who lived 2,600 years ago who recognized that everybody you care for in this world is going to die. And if that's true, then how do we live our lives? How do we make decisions?
Buddha can refer to two things. One is the historical Buddha, who rediscover the potential of human mind to become the Buddha, to become enlightened. Another meaning is the inherent potential that we all have to become enlightened. If he talks about historical Buddha, that is not his personal name. His personal name is Siddhartha Gautama. But why we call him the Buddha is to refer to the state that he achieved in his mind. So Buddha is a state, higher evolved mental state that we can achieve. He became the Buddha only at his age of 35. And before that he was a normal person. He was actually a prince. We have a story that he actually encountered a very important 4 experiences in his life. And the first 3 gave him an idea about human predicament and allow him to question whether the way we live is good enough or whether this is the best way to live if life conditions are like this. And the 4th vision, 4th person gave him an idea. Maybe this should be the way that I should find some solution. I should, find some solution to myself and then, teach others. And so he decided to leave. And he was already married by that time. But he left his palace and, and retreated to the forest. And he joined with other hermits. And then he followed what you call middle path. Because when he was a prince, he followed extreme of sensual indulgence. You see, because he indulged in sensual pleasure to the extreme. And he knew that that is not really satisfying, ultimately. And then he joined with these ascetics and practiced austerities. And all the ascetic practice of self-mortification and practice to the extreme. And then he realized that, that extreme, that path is also doesn't give us complete solution or satisfaction. He realized that people are always vulnerable. Reason is the self-centered craving that we all have. And then it's possible to get rid of this. And then this is the path to get rid of this. And so after following the middle path, he attained the enlightenment.
The Buddha was somebody, we're not setting him up as a deity that we're doing, but as an example, here's a human being. So it's something we can aspire to. It's not that Kyoki can be a Buddha and you can learn from me. It's but that we have to co-create this awakening human beings, okay? And so we're interconnected, and we have to do that right here. And we have to do it again. It's not fixed or permanent, it doesn't stay. So this awakening goes on all the time. The meditation then is putting that emphasis on when we forget, then we have to take a breath and return to being here and being present with each other.
Yeah, in a sense, when you do the practices is kind of when you make the leap from having a philosophy to having a religion. You know, the practices are in a sense what make the religion. And of course in Buddhism, where the Buddha himself told us to examine all the teachings and not to take things on faith. You know, you always examine everything. And in a sense, it's the practices themselves that you kind of take on faith, at least at the beginning. There, you know, when you start to do the practices, you know, that's when you have to kind of have faith at first that chanting this mantra is actually going to have some kind of an effect on you. You know, and then, you know, gradually you see that it does have an effect, or if it doesn't have an effect, then try something else.
But because there's not a creed or a system that you have to agree to be a Buddhist. You don't have to all agree that this is what I believe. Like a creed that for Christianity, which is like a Nicene or Apostle, I believe in God the Father Almighty, maker of heaven and earth. This lays out what you're going to believe. And you have the Bible as a book that here's the Word of God. We don't have anything like that in Buddhism. You don't have to believe anything. What he taught was the process of sitting and doing the meditation to come to your understanding about how the universe is working. And to harmonize yourself with the way the universe works. So, interconnected, always changing, for instance, seems to be the way the universe is working. So we should harmonize ourselves with that.
A lot of Americans living in the area, they like to learn meditation, and they also like to learn philosophy behind meditation, Buddhist philosophy, and to learn how Buddhist philosophy explains our life. And they seem to, you know, to like the philosophical explanation a lot, as well as they also benefit a lot from meditation, and particularly to handle their own difficult situations in their life.
My role is really to display Zen practice to people. So I just do what my understanding of Zen practice here at the temple. And if that's helpful for people, then people will tend to come and see and watch and practice with me. If it's not helpful, they won't come.
Pittsburgh has changed over the years. Of course, there's the mass exodus that started in the 80s. And we never had the influx of, you know, Mexicans or Latinos that other places in the country did. But Pittsburgh has for some reason or another, has had a much larger influx of Asian people.
We have people from even like immigrants from other Asian countries, like from India, from Nepal, you know, Burma. You know, we also have some of those people. But I think now it looks like the majority of the people who benefit from this center are actually, you know, local Americans. I mean, when people come because they want, and they are quite serious about it. And we should, you know, teach people only if they want. You know, I mean, if they are ready to, you know, learn and accept. And also, you know, that our center is a little far away from the city. And if people want to come, and they really have to make a journey to come here, and they really have to find the place. And so whoever comes here are the ones who really has some need and who really has some commitment.
Most are coming because they're seeking something, they're having a difficult time in their life. Then they sit for a while, and maybe something happens. One of the things I noticed when I was training with my master, who was in Omaha, Nebraska, I had grown up in the country, but when I was training there, if I put my hand on the wall, it vibrated. When you live in the city, it vibrates. And when I returned here, I just wanted people to know that there is another way to live out a life where the world's not vibrating, that you can come and be at peace, and the walls don't vibrate here, and the people don't vibrate here. We calm down.
I think they really want this, so therefore I think that is our approach, to, you know, give our teachings to the people who want it.
You know, Buddhism is growing all over the West, I think in a lot of Europe, it's the fastest growing religion in Europe nowadays, and that could be true of the United States as well. I'm not sure. But there's a lot of people who, just like me, have found that the religion that they were born into isn't really addressing the questions they had about life, and they're finding that those questions are addressed in Buddhism, and so they're coming.
I was raised Christian, but started having some doubts and started to, I guess you could say, think for myself for the first time in maybe my whole life after I moved out of my parents' house. I had a friend who was a bartender, and she told me, after a conversation about religion, that there's a Buddhist monastery in Freeport. And I can remember I didn't believe her at first, and she told me where it was at, and sure enough, here it was. After living here for almost all my life, I was astonished to find out that it was right where she said it was. I guess you could say I was becoming a Buddhist without having even realized it at the time, because I was letting go of a lot. And when I heard about this place, there was very little resistance in myself, because I was ready. Like, it was the right time.
I reach down to pick up a pen. I have to take a lot of effort to pick up the pen and out of the gathered. But to drop it, it's really easy. Let go. Let go of the self. The self is always coming up for us, right? And so, in fact, if you don't have a self, you can't let go of the self. So self is always coming up. So there's not a special state you're supposed to get into, but to allow anything to arise, which is creating a self, but to let that go, which is uncreating a self. Again and again and again. And so our practice then is to include both sides of that, not one. We're not trying to get somewhere. Just let go.
I guess you could say I was letting go of my fear of death, or you could say fear of life, or just those hang-ups, those things that make you heavy inside, or just bogged down. Those things, I was getting to the point where it was either I'm going to let these things define who I am, or I'm going to find another way about it. And this is based on just TV's movie shows about Buddhists, or what have you. I thought that they just wanted to were in it for themselves, but again, that had a lot to do with my upbringing, and since I've been coming here, I've realized that it's much more complicated than that. And yes, they do pursue happiness, but it's more of a selfless kind of pursuit, and an expansion of awareness that includes more than just happiness.
A lot of people think we're supposed to blank our minds out. But Buddhism is very practical, and you can't drive your car home today with no thoughts. And so the meditation is to practice being awake right here. So all of our senses are functioning. We allow anything to arise, let it go, and return to our breath. So from that's very, very simple meditation, then you can see that you can completely live your life, whether you're sitting facing a wall or doing any other activity. Just continuously allowing anything to arise and letting go.
And then meditation is the other one, in which we develop mindfulness, and mindfulness, tranquility, and loving kindness. Purposely direct our mind to develop positive qualities of our mind. Can weaken and completely eradicate all forms of negative, unbeneficial, habitual patterns in our mind, what we call defilements. And then that allows the space in our mind to grow compassion and loving kindness and altruistic joy, and also wisdom. So that evolution, that development is the path towards the enlightenment.
all the time as human beings, we just want to make ourselves comfortable. We just want to go lay around, do this, shift our weight, be in a slouch. We could be like this. Yeah, but the problem with this is I can fall asleep. I'm not living out my life. But when I sit upright in my chair, I bring my full engagement into this moment, and it's totally different. I'm here. I'm ready to respond to this moment. How will it be? It's never happened. We don't know what's going to happen. So sitting on that cushion, I want people to be alive. I want them to hear and experience in this moment of life that's never, ever, ever happened before. And so it looks like not much is going on, but a lot is happening in any moment of our life. We're completely supported by the universe. Everything we need is right there. Wow, it's magic. This moment is such magic. How did this happen? How can all these different cells of my body be functioning in a way that I can just take this one breath and somehow I live that moment out with every other being. So practicing with not too much going on, just right here with all the beings, and then move.
And then you also have other practices like perform devotional worship, devotional rituals to the Buddha, showing our gratitude for his great teachings, and so we like chant virtues of the Buddha, and we sometimes symbolically offer candle lights and flowers, and to symbolically appreciate different virtues of the Buddha. That is one practice. Like that will be daily practice. One practice of doing chanting and recollecting the virtues of the Buddha. And Buddhism is the path to achieve that enlightenment. Helping people, guiding people to gradually evolve in their mind, because our mind has a lot of potentials.
My life is about all of this. How can I benefit everybody and everything in the entire universe? How can this one little person here, how can my actions do that? And so our meditation then, by paying attention and recognizing this interconnectedness, and this, we have this one moment, that's it, we only get one shot, then to live those precepts out. Wisdom and compassion coming in here to this moment. So moment after moment after moment. This moment has never happened before. You and I have never had a conversation. So how do we do this? So the practice of Buddhism is so practical. It's to explore how to do this very moment, right here and now. And if you sit quietly, we drop away the concept that somehow you and I are separate from each other. Because actually, we're in a relationship. We're co-creating something that's brand new here.
Etena sanca vanjena sottite hotu sambada. Etena sanca vanjena samvihara.